I'm April. I am a singer-songwriter and music teacher, and I just recently came across an article by Reductress, which both made me laugh and was also reflective of a mindset that I see often in the songwriting community, which is that if you feel like your life just isn't that interesting, it's harder to think about what to write about. So today we're going to talk about what on earth to write about if you just don't feel like your daily life is that interesting. The article that I mentioned actually does have some really tangibly good advice for what to do when you feel like you don't have anything to write about. The best of which is to use your imagination. So just write from a character or write from the plot of your favorite movie or TV show or book. She sees the pretty lights and she wants to be a star. Writing from a character is great no matter what kind of daily life you have, because you're able to explore your creativity and to think outside of the box a little bit. It can also take a lot of pressure off of you as a person or off of sharing your music with other people, and it means that there's no limit to the number of things you can talk about. One of my favorite artists in the entire world is Regina Spektor, which I'm sure is extremely obvious if you've listened to any of my music. But the thing I love the most about her music is that she's never held back by her own experiences. She very frequently writes from characters, and often includes a lot of biblical and literary allusions in order to describe feelings that just about anybody would feel. She has first-person songs about Samson and Delilah, about divorce, which she's never gone through, about what it must feel like to be a violin in a museum and know that you'll never be played ever again, and about things like a love affair in an office building. She's able to do all of this without actually relying on her own personal experiences. This makes her music quirky and creative and unique. It takes us out of a specific time period and allows us to go anywhere in our minds. Plus, as a songwriter, she never has to worry about living a more interesting life. All she has to do is explore her imagination and then write about whatever she feels like writing about. If you're dealing with the worry that your life just isn't interesting enough, if you find that your day-to-day life is really boring and there's just not that much for you to write about, what you're not noticing is that you have an entire internal world of emotions. Everything I just described is something that you can feel, and a feeling that a lot of other people have felt, which makes it not only relatable, but it makes it easy to write about. These emotions that you're feeling, like boredom or happiness or contentment or depression, are all unmoored from whatever is happening in your daily life, which means you can write about those things even if there isn't that much of a story surrounding them. These are all valid and important things to talk about, so there's no sense in feeling like there's nothing to write about when you can always go ahead and just write about not feeling like you have anything to write about. So go ahead, write about politics, or that person you have a crush on, or the fact that you've never had a crush on anybody. Write about your dreams and aspirations, or about that feeling when you just feel a little too old to be sleeping in your childhood bedroom. Write about the annoyance that comes with feeling like your life is boring, or write about how much you love your mom. When you start by focusing on an emotion, it means that you can build out your song in either fact or fiction. You're not really held to anything. You can still use your senses, you can still use metaphor, you can use any of the things that we talk about in these videos, and it's all gonna still work with whatever feeling you're trying to talk about. Now, I'm gonna be totally honest. I have had a lot of things happen in my life. I've been alive for 30 years and I've experienced some stuff in the time that I've been around. I've experienced some really weird things and really funny things and really sad things and really great things. But what I find really interesting looking at this from the other side of things is that I don't think my life experiences have made it any easier for me to write songs. Like, you would think that I just have a ton of stuff to talk about all the time, and sometimes I do. Sometimes I write love songs to my husband. Sometimes I write about things that have made me sad, or I write about things that make me angry. But if I'm being totally honest, Those songs are like never my best songs. If I feel like I'm too close to the subject matter, if something is too familiar or I feel like I'm right in the middle of it, it can sometimes cloud my judgment, or it can make it really difficult to come up with a succinct main idea. I also don't ever want to release songs that are about the people in my life if I know that they're going to hurt those people's feelings, because that's not fun for anybody. I find that it's not easy to turn your life experiences into a song because things just aren't black and white. Sometimes there are too many characters involved in the situation. Sometimes there are too many conflicting emotions. There just aren't always perfect endings or morals of the story. Sometimes the things that happen in reality just don't really make that much sense or feel as compelling or interesting if you weren't actually in the room when it happened. There's also this really pervasive idea that in order to write great songs, you have to be this depressed, tormented artist, which again, just doesn't feel true to reality. There's nothing harder as someone who's experienced both grief and depression than fighting against your own brain. It feels way more difficult to write a song when I'm in one of those places because I just don't want to write if I'm feeling that way. Those feelings don't make you feel creative. They just feel like they kind of hold you down. I write my best songs, sad or otherwise, when I'm feeling good, or at least okay. This allows me to take a step back from the situation. It allows me to really reflect and think about those feelings as if I'm writing from a character, even if it's my own life. And of course, a lot of the time I actually am writing from a character. Using tools like acting and empathy for other people can allow you to write some really great songs and focus on the craft of writing as opposed to being really wrapped up in your own emotions. So my point is, even if you feel like your life is boring, or if your day-to-day just isn't that interesting, there are still tons of ways that you can be a wonderful songwriter. If you're able to tap into your emotions and your imagination, the possibilities are unlimited. You can write about anything under the sun and come up with some really creative and interesting stories. Plus, your life probably isn't as boring as you think it is. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, please leave a like, let me know in the comments below, subscribe to the channel, and of course ring that little bell if you want to be notified the next time I post. Which both made me laugh and also reflected a very common issue that